Round 6 for the Adult Division. Today we are racing around the Hungary ring. Of course, in Hungary, we are just going to run through your championship standings currently. There is your top 10. So we've got Little Jim still leading the championship, not racing, on 200 points. Then we got James P2 on 150 on the charge. Let's see if we can chase down our championship leader in today's race. Helvius Geminus and Rob Bailey, the Haas duo in P3 and P4. Level on near enough level on points, 10 points the gap. And 9 points off Rob, we have Ben, after an impressive drive in Qatar last week. Looking to build on that. We've got Dizzy in P6. Level on points with LX Tractor in P7. Then we got Neo after an impressive P2 in Qatar with 110 points in P8. Then we've got David in P9 with 80 points, level on points with Big Blondie. Let's move on to the bottom half. So we've got Horsepower in P11, the Aston Martin, 4 points ahead of the HA Father, who was 2 points ahead of Ferret. Then we got Chris Downs in P14, Ronnie in 15th. Then we got Gavin 16th, Jeff in 17th, all level up on 50 points. Point back, we got Evan P18, 3 points ahead of Marco Rosso in P19. Then running out, we've got Greg Campbell, Madge, Viking, and Sirth. Moving on to the constructors. So we've got Haas leading the way on 304 points. Then we got Sauber in P2 with 298. Alpine P3 with 270 points. Then we got McLaren in P4 ahead of Racing Bulls in P5, who are quite a significant way ahead of Red Bull in P6. 4 points back off Red Bull, we've got Williams in P7. Then we've got Aston Martin in P8, Ferrari in P9, and Mercedes in P10. So that is it for our championship standings. Get going for qualifying in about 10 minutes or so. So, see you guys then. As we are in store for a nice dry qualifying session here. Billy, how are we? Oh. As always, we will hop on board with the first man out on track. Track of 14 corners, only one DRS straight, of course, down that long pit straight. Main source of overtaking into turn 1, so you will see most of the overtakes there. We've got a few drivers coming out now, just going to get on board. It is LX Tractor, of course, Tier 1's finest. Change, so we're going to have to do it the old fashioned way. Of course, that P7 in the standings, so looking to build on that. If you watched my stream on Monday, commentators POV were out for the F2 race in Miami. A very impressive showing from Tractor. He claimed P2 in that race. If you didn't see, go and check it out on the Twitch. Of course, doing pretty well in Tier 1 as well. Quick driver. See if he can chase for pole. Of course, a bit different. Today is just a normal race. However, Tier 1 and Tier 2 on Friday are both Tier 1 is default setup and Tier 2 is F2, the wildcards. So here comes Tractor to start his lap, DRS overtake, and full throttle all the way down the line. The pit straight into turn 1 we go. Gets a little bit of grass on the front left tyre, so that will affect his entry. I was wrong, there's 2 DRS zones, I forgot about this one. Into turn 2 we go along, looping left-hander. Try and stick as close to the inside as you can to set you up for a nice exit. Through turn 3 we go. Uphill run into turn 4, very easy to invalidate on the outside. He keeps it. Oh no, he doesn't. He invalidates. He just validates my point even more as we look towards this Sauber, I'm pretty sure it is on a lap. It is Greg Campbell going through what looks to be turn 5. It is indeed. Into the tricky chicane we go. through the windy sector 2 of turns 8, 9, 10 and 11. Lovely that session, so I'll try and get him in immediately. He's online. I do not have mad, unfortunately. Through turn 13. Try and stick left to get a good exit through the final corner. See what it's going to be for Mr. Greg Campbell in the Sauber. Obviously reserving to do. The 120.7 beats up with a 116.8. There goes horsepower with 17.2. Thomas goes P1 with a 16.5. Got a Mercedes of Joe. Of course, if you haven't seen already, our dual commentary over the last 2 weeks in our division. Today just stepping in to fill a seat. So let's see what he can do. I think he's riding a default setup as practice for Tier 1 on Friday. So make sure you tune into that one. Or he runs wide, as you can see. If you're running the balance preset. He goes P5 with a 16.9, still a very competitive time from the Mercedes. Got Helvius, Jameson, and that Mikey. Going through turn 2, let's have a look towards Helvius, Geminus in the pass, why not? Ooh, that looked like a car going slowly. I think we just had a spin behind Helvius, Geminus. I didn't quite see who it was. I think it was a Mercedes. Is it a Mercedes? I'm going to make out what car that is, but someone had a spin. Helvius, Geminus now going through sector 3. Round turn 14. James goes P1 with a 15.7. Insane pace once again from the Alpine. Helvius Geminus goes P10 with a 17.2. Here comes my name's Jeff around the final corner. Mikey also to the line, puts in P9 with a 17.1. Here comes Jeff. Goes P14 with a 18.6. So Tractor just starting his lap, so Columbus on the out lap, just getting out of the way. Here comes Tractor once again. This Tractor is invalidated once again. Struggling to get a lap in. Everyone is coming into the pits. Blondie's on a lap, so we'll get involved with Blondie. Gavin a lap. Blondie is. We'll get involved with Blondie as he starts his first flying lap in the V-Corb. Through turns 2 and 3 we go. So he's got a very nice exit as we climb the hill up into the tricky left-hand corner of turn 4. Flings it in, does get it. Stop nicely through turn 5 now. Try not to get in that inside curve as it will probably spin your car around. Through turns 6 and 7 through the very tight chicane. Very easy to send yourself wide with the two massive sausage curbs on the inside of both corners as we rise through sector 2 and through turn 11 now. Could use a bit more track, he has run out of battery as well. Through turn 12, trying out the inside curve as much as he can through there. Going through turn 13 now. Another looping left-hander. Through the final turn, let's see where this puts Big Blondie. Puts him P13 with a 17.6. See if Tractor's on another lap. Looks like he is. Obvious Gymnast goes P2 with a 16.5. It's a great lap from the Haas. Here comes Tractor to finally finish a lap. He rounds the final turn, gets a good exit to the line now. P5 for Tractor. Hello, Gibby. Got a few out laps. Let's get on board with. Who do we choose? Thomas. Yeah, we'll get on board with Thomas Gangas. Currently sat in P3 with a 16.5. Just beaten by Helvius Gems. Hello, Gibby. I am doing brilliant. As you can see, Joe has hopped in a Merc today rather than doing duo commentary. He has betrayed me. But it's all practice for Friday, so I completely understand. Turn 5 looks like a very nice exit. Yeah, I know he should be in the McLaren. Here we go through turn 11. Very tricky selection of corners. Oh, what's it called? Thomas nearly hits the back of the V car. That's not a V car, that's a Mercedes, I think. As he rounds turn 13 now. Yeah, this is his favourite track. The whole grid's running their run setup because there's no wildcards. But Joe's running a default setup for practice for Friday tier 1 because that's a wildcard for that one. Thomas goes P2. Shaggy goes P2 with a 16.3. Thomas getting a 16.4 just on the cusp of a 16.5. So here comes Surf around the final corner. He hasn't validated on his lap, so he'll have to go again. Ronnie shoots up to P2 with a 16.2. It's not fair enough. Joe's half a second off. Very competitive lap so far. He rounds turn 13, of course. Nice bit of battery to burn to the line as well. Let's see where this puts the Mercedes. And he goes ahead of his teammate into P4 with a 16.3. Just about half a tenth back off the McLaren pair in Ps 2 and 3. Seth is about a tenth up through the first sector. Mikey up as well. On board. Horsepower going through sector 2, going through the tight chicane now. Of course, the sector 2 complex of corners is very difficult for the tyres during the race. Very easy to overheat the tyres through there. Of course, tyre wear is quite a big problem around Hungary, so drivers will be mindful of that. Here comes Horsepower as he rounds the final corner in the Aston Martin. Got some battery to burn. Let's see where this puts him. Seth goes P6 with a 16.4. Actually matches Thomas's lap time. Horsepower improves by 0.3, but does stay in P10. Resident Evil fans. Fair enough. Yeah, it'd be good to have you back, really. Leave it 0.2 up. Yeah, let's get on board with the Sauber as he rounds turns 6 and 7. Going through the complex of turns 8, 9, 10 and 11 now. Getting quite a lot of battery, I'd assume. You go through the tricky turn 12. As I said earlier, try and get as much curve on the inside. Get the rotation. Through turn 13 we go. 5 minutes left in the session, so we will see drivers go back into the pits to gear up for their final lap. So here comes David to the line with a 15.8, goes into P2. 0.7 of improvement for the Sauber. Very impressive. He puts him just about a tenth behind James, Greg Campbell to the line. Looks like he's a little bit down in his time. He improved slightly. Logan's just down about 0.2 of a second. Blondie's off the racing line, just getting out of the way of a few cars. As we see, Mikey half a second up. Currently down in P12 in the Ferrari. He invalidated, I didn't see that. Looks like horsepower's going again. Got a few out laps for Thomas, James, Helvius and Tractor, also Gav as well. A few drivers coming out the pits. Try and get some clean air for their final laps. Obviously traffic at its highest towards the end of the session when everyone's on out laps or even on flying laps. Horsepower just down in the first sector by about 0.08 of a second. He hugs the inside curb, and that's what the inside curb does to you as he goes off track and loses a bunch of time, and he will have to abort. Does have enough time to get back out though, so I would assume that's what Aston will do. Obvious is now going through turn 2 on a new lap in that gorgeous American house car. And he flings it through turn 5. I am Jack. I've been betrayed. As you can see, Mr. X of Thunder in P5 should be here with me now, but I'll see how it is. See what Helvius can do in the second sector. 0.4 of improvement. This could put him very high up in the grid. Goes through turn 12 and 13. We'll get on board with James as well. Our current provisional pole sitter, starting probably his last flying lap of the session. About 3 minutes to go. Here comes Helvius Gemini to the line. Where's it going to put him? P2 with just behind James. By just a few hundreds there. James is improving. Looks like he's backed off. So he's doing 2 out laps. This tractor goes to P4 with a 16 flat, and he'll be happy with that one. Thomas Gangas about 0.3 up through sector 1. He goes through turns 8, 9, 10 and 11 now. An abundance of medium speed corners. Joanne Hungary are best friends. However, he is using the default setup in preparation for Tier 1, so I'd expect him to be a little bit further back than normal. He's still got some pace though. Here comes Thomas as he rounds the final corner. 7 in the stream, of course. Gavin already, make sure to drop a follow and subscribe to the Twitch. Of course, we also have Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube as well. So get them all followed up. Much appreciated. Thomas goes P4 with a 15.9. That'll probably be its final lap of the session as James comes back into the pits for aborting his lap. Ronnie now through the first corner. Bit squirrely on the exit though. Probably lost a 10th or 2 there. Through turn 2 now. He gets the foot down. Don't think Ronnie's on a lap considering he's using no DRS. 1.5 seconds down. Tractor retires in the pits. He's on a lap and he's not. I'm a bit lost. Ben is on a lap. Down in P11. 0.5 of improvement so far as we go through turn 5. Using a lot of battery in them first 2 sectors, of course. Yeah, I'll keep tabs. Ideally, I need to get James's lap because of his pure pace. If you're on board with the provisional pole sitter's teammate, he is 4.4 up. Going into the last sector, Sirth goes P6 with a 16.2. Joe has indeed started his lap, as you can see him going down the main straight on the minimap. So here comes Ben, who rounds the final corner. I'm expecting a competitive lap from the Alpine driver. Here he goes. He goes P8 with a 16.3. I think we're happy with that. Let's get on board with... Ooh. Shaggy does cross the line with a 15.9. That puts him in the McLaren into P4. James didn't make it. James just made it, so let's get on board. Obvious Gemini, so we're not getting another lap in. Noble, Thomas, Horsepower, Jeff, Blondie, or Greg. They're all done. Tractor, of course, retiring in the pit, so he will not get another lap in as well. David is also done. Here comes James through turns 2 and 3. See if he can improve in the first sector on his already amazing lap time of 15.7. He has 2 tenths up as we go through turn 4. As you can see, the pure rotation that Alpine car has. Through the tight chicane we go. On the absolute limit is James. As we wind our way through sector 2 now. Pushing the track to its full advantage here. As he is purple and is a 3.5 tenths. He is 3.5 tenths up currently. Looking like another pole position. A very quick and impressive driver now. Shaggy does come into the pit, so he is complete. Here comes James to the line. And it is going to be pole position with a 15.2. Take a bow, son. You are half a second ahead of P2 once again. Great lap from James. So that will see him on pole position as he charges Lil Jim down in the Drivers' Championship, of course, 50 points back. So if he does win this race, he will be tied on points with our current championship leader. It's very impressive from James. Well done to him, as that brings qualifying to an end. Hello, Expo. Maniac. There we go, quality standings. As you can see, half a second between the top two. Shaggy close behind. We've got David close behind. Shaggy P4, Thomas P5, Ronnie, Tractor, Sirth, Ben, and Mikey rounding out our top 10. Joe down in P11, of course, on the default setup. Couldn't improve on his final lap. As we get ready for the race start. So here we go to 5 red lights. Final division round 6 around the Hungaroring. It is lights out and we are underway. Greg Campbell gets to drive through, so does Chris Downs. Looks like a good start from the pole sitter James. As we head into turn 1, David is alongside Helvius going into the first turn here. Oh, so we've got a lot of contact in the middle. Ronnie cuts the whole track and we got the top 3 separated by about a tenth. It was very close on the first lap. So here we go into turn 2. David does get the place on Helvius Geminis. Seth overtakes what it looks like to be Tractor, who's alongside them. Going through turn 4, as you can see, Tractor goes a little bit wide alongside Seth. Battling for P4, rising up into turn 4 now. Still side by side. Let's get on board with that. Still side by side through turn 5. Here we go. This is some great battling in the first lap. Looks like Tractor is going to get the place and does get ahead of Seth. Mikey sniffing the rear of that Williams as well. Looks like they had a lot of cars caught up in an incident in turn 1. Looks like Shaggy's all the way down there. Ronnie cut the corner, so he's got a 10-second penalty and is also last. As Thomas Gangas gets a move done on Mikey in the middle of the lap. James out in front by about half a second. Very fiery start from a lot of the drivers here. Sirth dropping about a second on Tractor now. As you can see, both McLaren's getting caught up in an early incident. Looks like Ben's dropped quite a lot as well. Logan getting a great start in P11 in the Williams. As here goes James crossing the line. And Thomas has retired in the pits, unfortunately for him. Got one drive out in the hards, which is name's Jeff in P9 in the Aston Martin currently. Get back towards, as we've got another retiree in the pits, Shaggy. We'll start from him in the McLaren. Chris Downs also in the pits after his drive-through, of course. Oh, Ronnie making a move on Logan there. On the run into turn 4, just got the place in the V5 up to P10 now. Logan on his rear, and he will keep the place. I don't expect many overtakes throughout the lap today. Of course, Hungary is quite a difficult track to get past someone. Of course, that main straight going into turn 1 is probably the the most likely place you'll see an overtake in this race. Plus 35 laps. It's going to be more of a strategic race rather than a overtaking race. James not exactly pulling away, what I would have thought. Got about 6/10, as David now will have DRS. Tractor will also have DRS on the back of Helvius Geminus, so that could get close between them as the battle for P3. No move yet from the VCOV. Here comes David now. Got about 3.5 tenths on James as we go into turn 2. I think he's a little bit too far back to go for any sort of move here. Horsepower on the back of Joe, who's got up in a P7. We've got a Ferrari going slow on the straight. Got with a bit of damage there. Ghosting and coasting down the main straight. This will be Corbin in the Ferrari there. That's what you want to see. So here comes the half-hour with a little run into turn 4 on Logan Convoy, get the move done. As there goes Ben. Jeff obviously went wide in turn 4 and Ben picked up that place into P10. Of course his teammate out in front by about 4/10 of a second. Looks like the lead battle split up into 2 different battles, as you can see, a battle for P1 and a battle for P3. Between battle for P1 between James and David, battle for P3 between Helvius and Tractor. Seth dropping back by about 3 seconds on this top 4. Mikey, Joe and Horsepower in behind as we get back onto the main straight as we go into lap 4 of this race. Gap 7/10 between the top 2. Got about half a second between Tractor and Helvius, as we can see. Tractor has a look to the inside but thinks better of it, and he got a good exit out of turn 1 to set himself up for an overtake going into turn 2, sorry. Not quite close enough yet. Here comes Mikey. Not close enough for an overtake. Could see the HJ Father and Logan get close behind, so we'll keep an eye on that one. We go into turn 2. Has a look. Doesn't go for it. But strategy will be interesting. Could well be a 2-stopper this one. The tyres do get burnt up very quickly, of course. Sector 2 being constant medium speed corners. That will be difficult for our drivers today. So here comes David. About 9/10 back, so he has just held on to DRS. James may be starting to pull away slightly now. Tractor's a lot closer to Helvius Geminus on this lap. Looks like he's going to close in with DRS. Is he going to go for a move in a turn 1? He does go down the inside. The VCOV does pick up P3. Will Helvius get a better exit though? Going into turn 2, of course, Tractor has another dose of DRS with it being a double DRS zone. And he will keep the place. So move for Tractor open a P3 now. Very impressive from the VCOV. He has stalked his prey and pulled the trigger. Now into a podium place. The battle for P5 is heating up. As you can see, Mikey with a penalty for track limits. Blondie on the back of Ben. Speaking of Blondie, gets a 3-second penalty for track limits. P10. And James has pulled out of DRS on David. Gap 1.4 now. Second sector is really starting to pull away. Might even see Tractor get involved. That gap to David is starting to shrink now. And how far the right on the back of Logan. Down P13 there. Let's see if Mikey can get a move going on Sirth. Got about half a second. See if he can get a good run out of turn 1. Looks for the inside, but not close enough. Ben makes a move on Horsepower. Down the inside into turn 1. The Alpine picks up P8. As you can see, Blondie right on the back of him as well. Blondie will have DRS, and Horsepower will not. Not Horsepower. HJ Father right on the back of Logan once again. Whoa! As Ronnie It's hit the barrier there on the straight. You can see a bit of front wing damage, maybe just got caught off guard by the cars in front, and he has indeed hit the wall in the McLaren. Just going to stick on board so we can hopefully get back to the pits, if he is going to pit. Of course he does have a 10-second penalty, so it'll be quite a long pit stop if he chooses to. The lack of downforce really affecting the McLaren. Battle for P4. Still heating up, to be fair. Hobby's Gemless still on the back of Tractor. The half-wall is very close to Logan there. We're going to monitor this battle all the way down the main straight. Doesn't look like Helvis is going to get close enough to make a move on Tractor. Mikey is very close to Sirth though. Here he goes around the outside, going into turn 1. We're on board with Joe as he watches on. Mikey with DRS, can he get close enough to get a move done on Sirth? There's the inside line to turn 2. Oh, they go. Goes a little bit wide. They are still side by side going through turn 3. Oh, there's a bit of contact and Mikey does go off the track and Joe capitalise. Mikey does get the place. Maybe he did overtake off track there. Mikey got an illegal overtake and through goes Joe. Double overtake for the Mercedes. Looks like Mikey got an illegal overtake and had to give the place back. You can see Greg and Gav having a battle for P14. Looks like Gav has indeed got that place up in a P14. Goes the Ferrari after his early damage that he picked up on the main straight. Mikey's still on the back of Sirth. Obviously Joe now up in a P5, streaking in front of these two as he's pulled about 1.2 seconds on this lap after getting that move done. You're funny, X-Buller. I think Greg's going slowly. You can see Ben right in the back of Mikey now. Could be a move on shortly for the Alpine. He has definitely caught this battle a lot quicker after the scrap that these two had in the previous lap. About 7/10 between these. Ben Hobbs second in behind the Ferrari of Mikey. Greg goes for a move on Gav down in P14. These two side by side going into turn 2. Greg on the inside, Gav on the outside. Gav looks to hold her on the outside but does not have enough room and gets forced onto the grass. Chris Downs in behind is a very great battle for P14. Chris looks for a move into turn 4 but Gav holds the inside line and keeps P15 I should say, and he does keep that place. AJ Father still battling with Logan. Get on board with Helvius Gemnus. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to get a move done. Here comes Mikey. Doesn't really get close enough though. Into turn 1. Randy on the back of Horsepower Wars. He does go deep and off the track. Mikey's still right on the back of Sirth. That is a move impending, I would have thought, for the Ferrari. He needs to hope Ben doesn't get past though. Ben looks to have a nice run. They are going to get on board with F1 Gav. As he overtakes Greg Campbell up in the P14 once again. Ronnie's still on the back of Horsepower Gaming. You can see from the broadcast how tight that chicane really is. Keep the drivers on their toes throughout these 35 laps of racing that we have. Lap 9 now, going on to lap 10 as the gap in front is now 2.7 seconds, so the leader has indeed pulled away from David. Tractor, after overtaking Helvius' mind, is definitely not being able to pull away just yet. Gap still half a second. Tractor covers the inside line, trying to break some break the toe. It's obvious. But have a better exit going into turn 2. Tractor did sort of compromise his own line. Drop off a second, I don't think Haas is going to get close enough. Here comes Mikey. Has the outside line and does go wide. Ben, can he get the place? Mikey did really compromise his own line there. And Ben has to sit behind these three, not swapping orders just yet. But the battle is definitely heating up. So we've got a yellow flag. Ben on the back of Mikey by about 2 tons. Still these three in a battle. Oh, Mike does a bad exit. William sorting stuff out right. Here goes Mikey down the inside of Sirth into turn 1. The Ferrari gets through. Oh, but Mikey does go deep, and he will lose 2 places in that. So Mikey had a chance to get into P6, but also ultimately drops to P8 there. Lap 13 out of 35.
Obviously, still right on the back of Tractor, 2/10 the gap going through the last corner. Tractor very vulnerable here. Oh, and Tractor's gave the position. He must have went wide in the final turn, and Helvius goes through with DRS as well. The Haas up in a P2, of course, his tyres must be a lot better managed there than the V-Carb. He gets another dose of DRS. As he can try to pull away now. As David goes down the inside with a fresher compound of tyres. Or just fresher tyres, I don't know why I say fresh compound. David, who was net P2 at the time, gets up in P8 ahead of the horsepower game. He looks to chase up to Mikey and Surf. It'll be a lot harder to overtake. Of course, Mikey's tyres are probably dying now. Ooh, people think Greg Campbell's had a bit of an oopsie on the exit of turn 13. Even though I'll lose out in that battle between Gav and Chris as well. David looks down the inside into turn 13. Here he goes. Gets the move done on the Ferrari. Very impressive move from David. As we see our race leader come into the pits. Oh, as Ben gets a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pits. That's very unfortunate. As you can see, James coming out the pits. Into the path of a certain Sauber of David. So David with a brilliant undercut there. Has DRS now. James on maybe more cold tyres. Let's see if David can make any inroads throughout this lap. Of course, a lot of lap cars in the way. Oh my word, there's contact. What on earth? The Alpine of James. I'm not going to say what I was going to say. But David gets up in a P2 ahead of James now. That was the Mercedes of Joe getting some freaky treatment off that Alpine. As he comes into the pit. That's one of the best things I've ever seen on this game. Oh my goodness. Oh man. I tell you what, a great undercut from Tractor, who's now been able to pull away from Hubby's Geminis after staying off for an extra lap. Not staying off for an extra lap, coming in a lap earlier. Joe's came out just about half a second behind Sirth in the Mercedes, of course. A surprise change in lead, and David's looking to pull away now. Gap about a second. I wonder if James got a little bit of damage off that collision. Let's just have a little look at his front wing. Looks like it's intact. Ronnie retires in the pits in P14. Looks like James has still just crept into DRS. David with a new fastest lap of an 18.7 though. On the hards to the end, you would have thought, yeah. See how it pans out. Helvius on the charge. Only 1 lap old fresh tyres compared to tractor. Great undercut. Of course, from the V-carb, the Haas getting caught up in a bit of traffic. Of course, my name's Jeff on 16 lap old hard tyres up in P5. Took him a little bit longer to overtake him than he would have hoped. Nice one, Expo. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to do that. I really needed that one. Ollie! Ollie. You're about 3 tenths on the back of Seth. Of course, running a default setup. Still in a very impressive P8 on fresh tyres. Let's see what he can do. See if he can get a good exit out the final turn. See if he can chase up to the back of the Williams car. 7 tenths is the gap, so I don't think it's going to get close enough just yet. Oh, Expo, you can't say that. That's naughty. Hello, Mush. You're right in the back of the Williams. Are going to look back towards us, battle for the lead. Oh, there's no way I've just missed the overtake. Crying out loud, man. The one time I stop spectating Jody makes a move. Open a P7, goes the Mercedes. I need him to send that overtake me after. Brilliant. On the charge now towards Ben, who was also in the wake of the Aston Martin. Name's Jeff. Name's Jeff. Oh, tractor with a 3-second penalty for track limits. That's not going to help his battle for P3 when LBS inevitably catches up. I mean, 3-second penalty will put him just about 8 tenths ahead. Oh, he's got to move for the lead. James down the inside of turn 1. Hugs the inside curb, looking for a better exit. Here comes David, comes straight back at him though. This is going to get very tight into turn 2. James with the DRS has the inside line. James gets high up on the curb, and David looks like he's going to keep the place. Can James get a run into turn 4 though? This is a brilliant battle for P1. It looks like James is just going to have to settle in behind David. Some great defending from the Sauber in front. As he keeps P1. Ben has got the move done on Jeff. Obvious gets a 3 seconds, that's not going to help whatsoever. After losing a bit of time to Tractor as well, gap 4.1 between them. Then Mikey overtook Blondie, up to P9 he goes in the Ferrari. As you can see the battle between Gavin and Greg Campbell, a lap down, getting involved. As James goes down the inside of turn 12. David does have the inside line for turn 13, and James will get some DRS. Down the pit straight. Yes, Expo, what do you want? Gap off a second between these two. Can James get a good enough run? Oh, I don't think so. I was expecting the race leader to get a bit of DRS off the lap cars there, but he didn't. See if James can get a better exit. Close, 3.5 tenths. I don't think that's close enough though. As Joe gets ahead of names Jeff into turn 13. So does Sirth, he follows him through. As Jeff comes into the pits to fit the mediums. So here comes Sirth though. 2 tenths back off Joe. Looks to the inside for turn 1. Thinks better of it. Can he get a good run? Wants to explore of that. See if he can get a run at turn 2 now. Goes for some more DRS. Gap 3 tenths looks like it. There's some good defending done from Joe there. Keep Sirth out of his overtaking range. Sunderland is not better. That is just factually incorrect. Thank you very much for that. Horsepower had a good run into turn 4. We're going to get back to the battle for the lead though. This one is really one to watch. Expo Stinky. Expo Stinky Poo. God, I'm trying. James, off a second. The gap going onto the pit straight. Oh, David's had a bad exit out the final corner. This is going to leave David very vulnerable, as you can see him hug the inside line. Going into the first turn, James looking for a little switchback. David does defend pretty well though. It looks like he's defended well enough to keep this place as we move on to lap 21. David doing some great defensive work on the Alpine. Ollie Stinky. half a second between the top two. Mikey, on the back of Surth, this battle has been going on for the whole race. Those beneath these three, Mercedes, Williams and Ferrari, as these two look to get onto another battle. Going on lap 22, imagine being on PlayStation. PlayStation is the superior console, thank you very much. Xbox is shit. James a little bit more further back than he was on the previous lap. So here he comes with DRS. Can he get close enough? Over a half second. Don't think he's going to be close enough to go for a move. He looks down the inside. But Hugs back to the racing line. Can he get a better exit out of turn one? It doesn't look like it. He has a little bit of a snap. David doing some great defensive work. That'll be him. Probably still in the lead for another lap. Here comes Horsepower, right in the back of Big Blondie. Can he get a move into P9 in the Aston Martin? Here he goes with the inside line into turn one. Looks like he's got a big enough gap to make the move. Blondie breaks a little bit later and tries to hold the outside here. And Blondie does. He looks to keep the place. So here he goes down the inside into turn two. Blondie with some great moves. Keeps P9. James and David look to go on to another battle here. Might be still on the back of circle, monitor that battle as well as we look towards the top two. Going through the last couple corners once again. Gap still about half a second. James in the dirt here, constantly now with the Sauber. Hopefully he doesn't burn up his tyres too much. Ooh, gap about 8/10. So David is starting to pull away a little bit in the final sector, as you saw. James brakes so late into turn one. Just try and get some rotation. Gap 4/10. Don't think he's going to be close enough into turn two. Once again, David keeps the lead in this one. As Surth is now closed up within DRS range of Joe. Oh, it looks like Big Blondie has crashed into the pit wall as he comes into the pits. Must have hugged the inside line a bit too much there. And that is damage on the V-carb as he comes into the pits for a new set of tyres and a wing change. Let's hope it changes as well. Surth just looking to stick in the DRS. On the Mercedes in P6, as you can see, the top two in another league. 6 seconds ahead of LX Tractor. LBS Gemins has closed up mine, gap 1.6. That has started to get some pace on. So you watch these two once again. Lap 23 out of 35, about to go on to lap 24. So it leaves us about 11 laps of racing to go. James once again pretty close to David on this one. David going to have to pull off some defensive manoeuvres to keep this position. James looks to the outside line into turn one to set up a good exit for turn two. And he looks pretty close. 2.5 tenths to the Sauber. He does have to stick behind once again though. David will keep the place for this lap once again. Perfectly timed, so when they get out of turn two, these lot are going up the main straight. Surth, did he keep DRS? He didn't. Surth has lost DRS. So here comes Mikey with DRS once again. Doesn't look like he's going to get close enough though. Gav and Greg are having a very brilliant battle, I must say. Oh, and there's contact and Greg has spun into the wall. Let's hope it doesn't bring out a safety car, but Greg getting some wing damage on his battle with Gav. This battle coming to a climax as that is a Red Bull of Chris Towns weaving in front of Greg. All you had a chance for the lead in the process. What's happened to David? He must have had a... Is he in the wall? Oh no. I don't know what David's done here. Former race leader now comes into the pits and is retired. So James has now got a 6.7 second advantage now on P2 of Helvius Gemini. Tractor does come into the pits for a 2-stop as well. Not sure why David retired there. Tractor comes in for a wing change. I don't know what happened to David. He didn't have any damage. He just came into the pits and retired. I don't know why. Tractor now with a new front wing, looking to get some pace in this race. Pace in the race. Good bars. Half-second gap between P4 and P5. You're running a very nice race in P4. Ben looking to get a podium once again after his podium in Qatar. Have a look at the position changes just to see how well I would rather have done today. Of course, Ben up 6 places. Let's see. Joe up 7. We've got Seth up 3, Mikey up 4, Horsepower up 5. Drafted down 1, of course, on fresh tyres now, so I'm assuming he will improve on his starting place of P7. Name's Jeff up 4 places. AJ Father starting P17. David had rear wing damage. Okay, interesting. I'm not too sure how he got it. Blondie up 4, Logan up 6, Chris Downs up 2, Gav down 1, Greg up 3. As we go on to lap 26. Seth looks to be struggling. Yeah, there was a yellow flag, so I'm assuming he did spin and break his rear wing. He might have hit the grass on the entry of the corner. I normally do that quite a lot. Unfortunate. David was looking for a race win. He didn't do that. So, unfortunate. Nine laps to go around the Hungary ring. Just gets a track limit penalty down in P13. We don't move. The tractor has made a move on Horsepower Game and into turn 5. Not really an overtaking place that. We got a car around. Like Logan has had an accident going into the pits. I'm not so sure what he's done there. Don't know if he's broke his wing or not. Yeah, I thought he did. Tractor now on the charge. Gap 7 seconds to this battle. We probably will catch up pretty quickly with these in dirty air. And tractor on fresh tyres. Here we go once again on board with the Mercedes of Exo Thunder. Seth still about 3/10 back going into turn 1. Track of the new fastest lap of the race. We'll monitor his gap between P6 and his competition. Races seem to calm down a little bit now though. Go with a very impressive showing in the default setup. And he can do this on Friday. He's looking to be one of the favourites for that one. Of course, championship leader. Going into the penultimate round of the season. Very close championship out between him, Wells and Mr. James Doss, so make sure you tune in for that one. Looks like Joe's starting to pull away from Seth. Gap over a second now, so Seth will not have DRS as it stands. Gav picks up a time penalty for track limits. Lap 28 out of 35 now. I'll tell you what, Helvius Gemins has started to close in on our race leader. Have a look at the penalties. Also, Ben has a 10-second penalty. But he did speed in the pits. I forgot about that one. So, Joe's on for a podium if the gap stays at what it is now. Might lose out to Sirth if it keeps going. Ooh, we've got to move. Tractor gets ahead of Mikey there into the last couple of corners. Sirth has now pulled half a second now on Joe. Tractor right on the rear of the Williams. Looking to charge on with his fresh mediums. It's going to be on the back of Sirth going out the last corner, I would assume. Ooh, look how close this is. 1 through sector 2, the V-car right on the rear of the Williams. Joe's looking unsettled, and here comes Tractor on the inside into turn 12. Side by side between these two, Tractor does get the move, a very nice move indeed. As we go through turn 13, and Tractor will have a good run, I'd assume, on Exo Thunder, coming out the final corner. This could hold Joe's push for the podium. As you can see, the gap has now reached 10 seconds between P3 and P4, so Bennett indeed will keep that place as it stands. Here comes Tractor with the DRS on Exo Thunder. Can he get a move done? Open to P4. Just sit behind, doesn't have a pull. Maybe a little bit less battery than he would have imagined. But Joe does go wide, compromises his line, and through goes Tractor, open to P4. A nice move for the V-Car. Let's see if he can pull away that gap that he has. Let's see what penalties he's got. He's got 3 seconds. I'd assume he will be able to pull away 3 seconds on the man running default setup in this one. So a very crucial overtake from Tractor as we have about 5 laps to go. Elvius has just dropped back off James once again. James looking dead set for another race win. Another impressive race win in his South Division. This, as it stands, will leave him currently level on points with our championship leader, Lil Jim. You've got to move. Never mind. Jeff comes into the pits. I'd assume it's a new set of mediums. I thought he was going to box for some soft and go fastest lap. Lap 32 out of 35. This goes back to the Avon track for P6. I'm saying that. Gav was on the back of Chris Downs. So it's still on the back of Joe. As we are going on to the penultimate lap of this race. We have a slow moving car out the final corner. That might have been Harvey's Gymnast actually. And it was. Harvey's Gymnast had a bit of an excursion at the first corner. So you lose even more time to our race leader, who was looking dead set to win around the Hungaro ring. The Hungaro ring. Half a second the gap between Joe and Seth, of course. Seth and Mikey with penalties, so Joe looking dead set for a P5 finish in the Merc. The real battle here is between... Never mind, Mikey's got 9 seconds of penalties. Whatever we look. And Tractor is still on for a podium. Obviously the gap between both penalties for third and fourth is 7 seconds. And Tractor has pulled within that 7-second window to about 6.1 seconds. So Tractor looking for a podium here after boxing for a new set of mediums and a change of wing. So very impressive pace shown by the V-Carb in his last 8 laps or so. As James going through Sector 2 now on the penultimate lap. Another impressive drive from him after David's excursion. Like I said, I've seen the clip, he has, on the entry into the penultimate corner, he has hit the grass on entry, spun the car around and couldn't get the car stopped in time and did hit the barrier and got him rear wing damage, which caused his DNF. So very unfortunate for the Salva there. He was looking for a top 2 finish in this race. Fortunately, hitting the grass on entry, getting rear wing damage, which ended his race. Half a second between these two as James takes the final corner to take us onto the final lap of this race. Been a race of many overtakes, to be fair. I didn't really expect many, but we have had some good battles out on track today. Especially this battle for P5 between Exo Thunder, Seth and Mikey, which has been one to watch throughout this whole entire race. Who are we going to give driver of the day then? Cover up position changes. Ben up 6 places, will be 5. Joe with the default setup up 6 places. Oh, that's a tough one. A lot of drivers making some good progress in this race so far. I'm looking towards Joe, mind. Default setup making up 6 places. Yeah, Gavin Gregg have been having an absolute ding dong, mind. I need to get on board. Oh, is that a wall? Never mind, I thought I heard a wall. Even things are getting old. I don't know why I say this is the Gavin Chris basically alongside them. Just no. As here comes James with another dominant performance. Also picked up a penalty as he rounds the final corner to take the checkered flag to win round 6 of our division in Hungary. Another impressive performance from James. That'll leave him level on points with our championship leader Lil Jim going into round 7 next week. Harvey's Gymnast picks up P2 in a very impressive drive for the Haas team. Ben will have his podium stripped away from him due to speeding in the pit lane. As you can see, Greg racing to the line. And Ben does cross the line in P3 but will fall behind Tractor. So Tractor with an impressive podium for the V-Carb team, and here comes Joe who rounds the final corner to take P5 in this one. Another impressive drive from the man himself, of course running default setup, so you'll be very happy with that one. Horsepower Gaming crosses the line on P8, doing 20 laps on them hard tyres. He also overtakes Mikey with Mikey's penalty, so Mikey does drop to P8. Here comes Blondie. Oh, as we got a spinning Chris across the line. Here comes Blondie to the line, takes P9. Name's Jeff. looking towards a P10 finish for the Aston Martin team. Some good solid points for them today. P7 and P10 for the Astons. And here comes the HJ Father to be the last man out on track, and that ends a very intriguing Hungary Grand Prix where everyone enjoyed 35 laps. So look at our racing finishing positions. A lot of penalties. There's the rest. So that's been it for the round 6 of Hungary for Adult Division. Make sure to tune in for next week. Just have a little look at what the race is, because I've completely forgot. I think it's Abu Dhabi. Hold up. It is indeed Abu Dhabi. Next week, same time. Next to Wednesday, of course. Make sure to join me then. It's been a great race. Hope everyone enjoyed. Tune in for Friday. Thanks everyone for watching, and goodbye.